Howdy campers, how are we doing? Here aboard the trusty Kawasaki ZH2 SE, which is a bike I'm running via Bike World. Go on there and have a little look-see if you want to know more about this 180 horsepower maniac. But, well, Mr. Biker, hello sir. Ooh, that was a new BMW, I think. One of the slightly older ones. But anyway, why am I here this time around? Well, this time around I'm here to talk to you about a boot, a very specific boot. The ones I am in fact wearing, and now this is the actual moment where normally I would switch to the camera I had fitted. Luckily for me, a not very new or particularly loved camera, which is a good thing because I fitted it to the back to cover the boot, and it's not there. It's gone. So anyway, I'm one mildly crappy camera down, but I still want to tell you about the Voltex boot. So there you go, there's one there, look, booties, you see it? Now, before the Voltex, I used to wear what is my absolute favourite boot of all time. That was also a Daytona. Now, I've always had favourite boots for kind of general track riding or general riding or winter or whatever, and then I got a set of Daytona GTXs, which I'm sure many people will know of, and oh my god, they are just, even now, they are just the most amazing boot in my memory. And I ended up doing, I had one sole refresh, and that was after I'd probably done 100,000 miles wearing them. I mean, literally insane. They did so many miles over the years. So I was absolutely devastated when I learned that the GTX was being replaced. Because I just thought you just couldn't get, I could even take them on track. They were just the absolute nuts. But then Daytona came out of the Voltex, and technically speaking, oh, this is a better boot. I mean, there's no, there's no two ways about it. The amount of work and effort that they put into it. And likewise, like the old GTXs, I have worn these booties. There you go. Since 2015, these have been my everyday pair. I can't even begin to estimate the mileage again. Not as much as the GTXs, because the last couple of years have been a bit down on the old mileage, but definitely over 100,000 miles in these, and the soles are still going. I think they probably need replacing reasonably soon, but for the moment they're still more than usable. In fact, the way the boot, I mean, these boots have been soaked, they've been baked, they've been frozen, soaked again, baked, frozen, sometimes all three at the same time. Okay, not quite, but you know what I'm saying. They have literally had everything done to them, absolutely everything. So that they are still in such good nick, that they still feel so good is insane. And I wore this. The first time I wore these very boots that I'm wearing now was on the Ducati Panigale 1299 launch. That was January of 2015 or 2016. To be honest, Bikerheadz actually should know when they sent them to me, because I was working for a magazine at the time. So if they can remember when that was, maybe they can stick their in down here. But yeah, that was the first time I wore them on track. I mean, and they are just amazing. I mean, the outer leather is made from something called hydrophobic leather, which doesn't mean that they came from cows that are scared of water. I'm not even sure where you find cows that are scared of water. Are cows scared of water? I have no idea. But anyway, which repels water, obviously hydrophobic. Pretty bloody obvious, really. Right, we just come up to a super duper bumpy bit, which is really annoying, but there's a bit of a nice wheelie bump at the end of it. So, hang on a second. Excuse me, folks. Whoa, bumpy, 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 bumpy. Woo-hoo-hoo! Oh, a bit more. Woo-hoo! Oh man, I love this thing. it's kind of like, how to describe this bike? It's not, you know, it's not a sports naked. So it's not like a, in car parlance, I guess this is more your kind of Aston Martin fast than Ferrari fast, if that makes any sense. You know, it's GT fast rather than track fast, but I am digressing. So yeah, hydrophobic leather, there's loads of elasticated parts, and it's got some, what I think are titanium sliders on the outside. There is, and then there's the inner boot. And the inner boot's made from like a TPE plastic kind of thing, and it is like almost a whole boot in itself, in that it's, one second, it's almost like a whole boot in itself. It's even hinged right where you want it hinged, around the kind of ankle area. And yeah, and then you have just the outer that kind of goes and wraps around it. And Daytona, look, they're not the only one to do the whole two boots in one thing, but kind of general consensus amongst my peers, and I would include myself in that, is that when it comes to the whole two boot, one boot in another boot scenario, Daytona have got it nailed pretty well. So yeah, these Voltexes, the only one incy downside, I would say, is from the GTX, the sizing changed ever so slightly. In that I'm a size 10, and the size 10 in GTX has fitted me, I mean, like a glove, absolutely beautifully. Whereas the size 10 in these, actually a teensy bit larger. I feel, you know, I could wear thin socks with the GTX size 10. With these, I have to wear thicker socks. Oh, it's alright, it's not the end of the world, because I have to wear thicker socks, but I get an amazing boot on the end of each foot as a result of that. 1 second. Yeah, I was a bit kind of like, at first I was like, oh no, thinking that my kind of everyday Daytona wearing experience was going to be ruined because my feet weren't quite big enough, but actually it's absolutely fine. And I did go down, I went down a half size. I tried a pair on that was a half size smaller, and yeah, no, they were too small. So this is definitely the right size for me, and they're so comfortable as well. I mean, I've banged on other things about other comfy boots over the past, but these things, I tell you what, they're absolutely brilliant. I mean, I don't like being away from them. I don't like having them away, because this is what whenever I jump on a bike, this is what I stick on. And Bikerheadz have said to me, oh, you should probably get the soles done, and you know, let's sort that out and get the soles done. And I'm kind of like, yeah, but then thinking in my head, but that means being away from them, not having them like here, right and now, for however long. And yes, I've got other bike boots, and yes, I can wear other bike boots, but it's the usual thing, you know. It's what you're used to, what you're comfortable with, and yeah. And for me, it's a pair of these. They are remarkable. In fact, Bikerheadz didn't even ask me to do a review on these, but as I received them from them like 6 years ago now, when I was working for another organ, and basically the only time I've taken these off, biking wise, is when I've worn, incidentally, another set of Daytonas, the Security Evos, for when I'm on track. And just tiny side note, the difference in comfort between these and those is, it's not even night and day. I don't think even black and white quite thingies it, but at the same point they feel like the safest boots I've ever worn. And I don't think I could ever wear any boots that feel any safer, so meh. The Mr. Daytona, or Mrs. Daytona, they giveth and they taketh a tiny little bit. Ooh, hello Trocky. Didn't need to be using all the road, did you, mister? So yeah, there you go. So I suppose the thing is, it's not even a finished review because they're still going. I still think the outers don't need, maybe the soles do, but the rest of the outers are they're still absolutely magic. They're just filthy. And I suppose I could kind of clean them, but I don't know if I want to. I quite like them. I quite like them looking a bit used and dirty and whatnot, Shows that I use my kit, and I do. Again, dread to think how many miles I've done on these, but look, I'm sure Bikerheadz will literally chop my head off for saying this, but Daytona boots are not the cheapest boots out there, but there's a reason for that, and that's because build-wise, they're the absolute dog's danglies. They are the mutt's nuts. They are ridiculously good. As proven by the ones I'm wearing now, which have been all over the world, all conditions, all everything, and I'm completely happy with them. I'm so pleased that when they stopped doing the GTX, and let me tell you, I had a proper little hissy fit about them stopping doing the GTX. And when they stopped doing GTX, I very almost went and tried something completely different as my regular use thing, but I'm very glad I didn't, because I can see myself wearing these until they literally fall to pieces, or Bikerheadz persuades me to to change them up or swap them up for someone else. So all I can say is, folks, 6 years, hundreds of thousands of miles, all sorts of conditions, I have not looked after them, I've not treated them nicely, I've been nothing in a kind of ownership full of disdain. They've been thrown about, they've been just treated terribly, really, I suppose, and they are still going, still comfortable, and the most important thing is my feet still feel safe in them. So there you go. So again, this isn't something they've asked me to do, this is me doing this off my own bat, and they are unbelievably good. So take from that what you will, and whatever you're doing, hope you have a good time. Bye bye.